we're getting boards in and out the door in 11 days. But our goal starting was always 8 hours. And that will make hardware iterate as fast as software across the whole market. And that's really what we're here for. We're trying to build the whole world to get that new hardware as fast as possible. Everybody benefits from that. But what we've done is slowly you just find all the little bottlenecks, try and shrink the supply chain.
Hey, I'm Nate Wheeler. I am the host of Manufacturing Insiders Podcast. Really want to thank you for joining today. I hope that you learned some really great insights from this manufacturing leader that you're about to hear from. I also hope that you'll go ahead and hit that like button on the video and subscribe to our channel so you can see more of the stuff that comes out as we're continuing to publish content. Every like, every subscribe really helps us get this message out. And the message that we're sharing is really just a message of hope for manufacturers. I understand, I work with you guys every day. I understand how many different obstacles are in your faces, from technology to government regulations to competition from foreign and domestic markets. And I really want to share strategies with you on how to deal with these issues. And I think there's no better way to learn than hearing directly from somebody that solves some of these challenges. Thanks for watching today, and look forward to seeing you soon. Welcome to Manufacturing Insiders. Today I have Will Gallacher with me. He is a veteran. He worked in the Navy, and he was, pretty involved in electronics maintenance and, development. Haven't heard too much about that part of the story, but what he really did after is super interesting. He became a guy that started a electronics manufacturing company for 10% of the budget he actually asked for, which is pretty awesome. And then because of his success there, he was able to move into another company that really saw his skill sets as absolutely necessary for what they were trying to do, CircuitHub. And this is such a cool episode because it goes right along with this series that we're doing right now, as being indispensable to your customer. And so a lot of manufacturers out there today are kind of struggling with positioning in their market. There's a lot of competition in electronics manufacturing, especially globally, internationally. There's just a lot of obstacles in that. So having an offering that is completely unique and really hits right at the sensitive point of what your customers need is what CircuitHub has been able to do. So all that being said, welcome to Manufacturing Insiders, Will.
Thanks, Nate.
Absolutely.
Nice to be here.
Awesome. So I'm sure I didn't do your background story the justice that it deserves. So can you just kind of give me a synopsis of how you came to be at CircuitHub?
Yeah, so it's kind of a strange story. So I was working for another company, started their manufacturing, and we were really rolling along. And we had a contract manufacturer that was also, they're contract manufacturing for everybody. And they ended up being the very first contract manufacturer that CircuitHub ever used. And at that time, CircuitHub was growing really fast, but Worthington couldn't keep up with how fast they were going. So the owners actually talked to the owner of CircuitHub about starting a manufacturing facility. And because he's, one of those guys that just thinks of the easiest way to do things, he said, "Do you know anybody that's ever done that?" Yeah. And it just so happened that the owners knew one person, and it was because I was also their customer, and we worked together closely on a lot of projects. And they introduced me to Andrew. At first, I was just assuming he was going to ask us to do contract manufacturing for him also, and I was like planning on how I was going to make room in my facility to take on more work and start having like a cash cow come into the company. And he just said, "Hey, I know nothing about manufacturing. I know you do. Could you just come over and do it for me?"
Yep. Which is amazing. I mean, they didn't teach you how to start a manufacturing company in the military. Sure, some of the leadership lessons and things like that are great, but not how to, kind of what machinery do you need to buy? What kind of people do you need there? What kind of engineering do you need? So like, how did you navigate all that and I guess learn it the first time good enough to do it the second time?
Well, the first time it was kind of easy to do because I had zero of anything. So, and then with such a small budget, you just find whatever equipment works in that budget. So, kind of learned real quick what equipment can't do, the downfalls of really cheap equipment.
Yep.
And I found out really hard that the equipment on eBay doesn't come to you in a working order. So we had, a lot of time to fix up equipment, get an assembly process working. And really, I mean, manufacturing is manufacturing. You get raw materials in, you're trying to get a complete product out.
Right.
So it was just what is the easiest steps to do that, and a lot of value stream mapping and stuff. And then afterwards, really digging into the equipment. We didn't start with anybody that had electronics manufacturing backgrounds. We trained up a bunch of interns from the high school and kind of showed them how we expect manufacturing to happen. Listened to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, talked to a lot of industry people. A lot of the equipment sales reps and stuff were very helpful, talking about what their equipment can do, what they can't do, and how they've seen other manufacturers use it, and then trying to figure out just the best way that we could do that at my first company. So then with all those mistakes in the background, coming here, it was easy to start from, okay, we already made all these mistakes.
Yep.
Let's just start here and move on.
Yep. Yeah, and your positioning at CircuitHub is a little bit different, a lot of it different, and very unique. Really addressing that major issue in electronics manufacturing. We kind of need that rapid prototyping. You need to get that board into the hands of the OEM so they can start iterating on the product. So so tell me about the offer there.
All right, so we started off just like everybody else. The standard offer for a prototype was like 6 weeks.
Yep.
And we got it down to 2 weeks, and we were ecstatic, right? 11 days. We're getting boards in and out the door in 11 days. But our goal starting was always 8 hours. And that will make hardware iterate as fast as software across the whole market. And that's really what we're here for. We're trying to build the whole world to get that new hardware as fast as possible. Everybody benefits from that. But what we've done is slowly you just find all the little bottlenecks, try and shrink the supply chain. And as you shrink the supply chain, you get better and better at different things. You get really good with certain vendors, certain processes. And once you get that like partnership, we've got it down to 3 days now, but we're still working towards that 8-day thing. I mean, there's a lot in the process that you can improve and kind of bring closer.
That's a hugely ambitious goal, even getting it from the 6 weeks to the 2 weeks. I guess number one, I'm curious to know the thought process behind that. To you, was that the biggest pain point in the market? Were you hearing that from customers, or was it kind of like a guess? Like, I guess I just wonder, like, what motivated you to go from that standard time frame, to that really ambitious goal of 8 days and then potentially or 8 hours. That's incredible. I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was from the market. It was all from personal experience. So both myself and Andrew both come from a development background. So he worked for a different company, developed a board. He made a mistake and had to restart that whole 6 weeks, which pushed him back past his due date. And for me, it was always, we get these products done. And then the worst was you finally get your design ready. You're in test. And my last company, we built for HVAC equipment. So we had to guarantee these boards could be made for 10 years and supported. And we'd get done testing. And then as we go to market, all of a sudden, the industry shifts from 5 volts to 3.3 volts. So all the parts on my board are no longer going to be supported. So now we're redesigning a board. And the amount of time to redesign and test is just killer to products.
Yep.
And it can draw out, especially when you got to get ETL and CE certifications and everything. So that time blocks you from going to market. So
Right.
that was really what we're trying to do, is just get that go-to-market time as short as possible.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, I think the cool thing in it is, and this is something that, especially when you've got a lot of competition, like you're a machine shop, you're a fabricator, the OEM can go to a lot of different shops, and they can go to the one that offers them the cheapest cost, or whatever. But when go to market is on the line, and that time might be 2 weeks or a month or a couple months, how much revenue could you make in that time frame? So really the offer is, what you're saying to the customer is that we may charge you a little bit more for the actual manufacturing process, but that's just pennies compared to what you're going to make getting this into the market a month sooner.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing we see a lot from our enterprise people is they don't want to shut down that enterprise line. So what they're doing is they're having their prototypes or their next revision come through us, and their production line is still pumping out boards, but they've never shut down that line, and they're ready with their next revision. It's tested, and then all of a sudden, all you're doing is changing reels or whatever.
Right.
Change the program on the assembly line.
Right. So if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I'm curious kind of what the steps you took to get from 6 weeks to 2 weeks, and then what you're looking at. Like, how do you find the next little piece of improvement to make? What are the big obstacles there?
Right. So right now, going from 6 to 2 weeks was just getting a platform where customers upload their raw data. So they're uploading their native files right from their design workspace right to us, and we're doing turnkey products. So we're able to get that board that works with our equipment, and then the parts that we already had like a really good relationship with a couple distributors. So going from then to 3 days is just getting APIs set up. So now you're not dealing with a person, it's just computers talking to computers. That speeds up the whole process. And then to go from 8 hours or down to 8 hours, we have a lot of big ideas, but I think really the only way to do it is to either shrink your supply chain or bring the factories closer to your customers. So, if you do both of those, you can probably get it really good or really close. Like bareboard fab is still crazy. The United States went from like 2,500 bareboard fabs to under 200 in the last 10 years. It's nuts. So you have to figure out how soon can you get something. Is it have to come from overseas? Not everybody has the same capabilities. And so I think bareboard fab is a big one for our company. We think if we can get bareboard fab and regular pick and place in the same building, you're doing full line turnkey at that point. The other thing that we've done is to compress that supply chain is we keep a ton of parts in house.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which is
a lot of really common.
A lot of this kind of lean philosophy that has been sort of mainstream manufacturing for a long time.
Yeah, just in time works if you're doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
But we're doing 20 different things every day, 20 products. It's about one an hour. We're running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's constantly changing. We need as many of the parts that are possible in the facility at any one time.
Yep. Yeah, which is the situation a lot of job shops are in, kind of that high mix, low volume sort of manufacturing. And so maybe some of them could think about how you would apply CircuitHub philosophy to your business. If you're a machine shop, maybe it means having more material in stock. Maybe it means, even having a stocking program with a customer where you're actually, producing over what they asked for, putting it on your shelf, and then supplying it to them when they need it. I don't know. You might have other ideas there. I'm not a manufacturer per se. I work with enough of them that I have pretty good ideas about how things work, but certainly would appreciate your insight.
Yeah, my thesis for my master's when I got my MBA was actually for that exact same thing. That's what I did at my last company. I had what I called the supermarket. and I would stock finished goods on the shelf, and we only built to refill the shelves. So that's how we were always ready to ship, but it also meant that we were carrying inventory
Correct.
of complete goods.
Right. So what does that look like from a customer standpoint? I would assume you would need some sort of a, commitment to them that they're eventually going to buy these. Like, how does that contract look?
Yeah, when we do that for customers now, we get one big build and they will have them released monthly or weekly, but we prefer monthly. And what we do is we'll build up 2 or 3 months supply.
Yep.
And that way they're on the shelf, and we try to stay ahead of it.
Yep.
And other times we can build a whole year's supply for some of these boards relatively quickly in a couple days' time. And then it's really just the packaging and handling of them that takes the longest.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll get a full year contract with release dates.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So in my industry, I work with manufacturers to help them market their businesses. From a technological standpoint, there's quite a few things that we've done over the years to compress the timeline and make things flow more smoothly. The one thing we've never figured out is the client. The client is what holds the project up 99% of the time. Whether it's a website build, whether it's an SEO project, you always need client interaction at some point in this process. You need them to look at the design and say, I like it, or here's my exact feedback, which is very difficult to get out of people. And then I can move to the next stage in the process. And I would imagine you run into some of those issues as well. So, getting it from even that 6 weeks to 2 weeks, did you identify client interaction related issues that you somehow were able to solve with technology?
Yeah, we actually have our order page. So our portal, our website that people order on, you get an order page when you're done. And we discuss things with the customer openly right on the order page. It's like a little messaging app on the side. It works really good most of the time. And what it does is as soon as we put something on there or they put something on there, an email goes out saying, hey, there's a message on this order, either from us or from the customer, and you just click it. And as soon as it opens, everybody in the company can see it. So wherever that board is or that project is somewhere down the assembly line, that person has the responsibility to see what happened and change it or respond to the customer.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's great. And we use project management software where, we're updating the project in here, and then, like we use Bonsai. Bonsai will then send out a notification to the customer that there's something that requires feedback, but it still doesn't mean they're going to click on it, open it, and give us the feedback, right?
Right. Yeah. Our customers seem to be pretty good about it. Most of them are waiting on these prototypes. So
right.
It's a little bit different, I guess.
Urgency. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So tell me about some more of the technology. I just want to understand how it works. Like, I remember we chatted a little bit about the kind of like, do you want it cheap, fast, or good kind of continuum? Like, tell me about some of that stuff.
Yeah, so we have gone to an automatic quoting system. Everybody who's used CircuitHub, that's the one thing that they love. It's the bomb generator and the automatic quoting. What that is, I mean, quoting in real time is pretty simple, right? You got to just know how long it's going to take, what the materials cost, and what your profit margin is supposed to be. Add them all together, and that's your cost. The problem in electronics manufacturing is every single part, you could have 2,000 components on one board and 200 uniques. So each unique part has to have how long is it going to place? How much programming time is it going to take? How long is it going to take to bake? Is it something you have to do by hand? All those little things. So, I mean, that makes quoting difficult. And then the time studies really, I mean, when you're doing time studies, it's so important for your overall process and just knowing like, wow, this one component takes about 1 second to place. This one component takes 10 seconds to place. And it's like, once you get the rhythm down and understand the business, the processes, that's where all that comes in. But then so besides automatic quoting, we actually had to go and develop our own machinery because nobody makes quick turn prototype machinery. And that machinery helps us speed up changeover. So changeover is the hardest and most difficult part of all manufacturing. But like I said, some of these boards are 2,000 parts with 200, 250 unique parts on them. So to load individual feeders and load the machine and program the machine for those 250 parts, that's really where all the time comes, the NRE time, right? The setup and breakdown. So we've really cut that out, cut it down a whole lot. So our turnover time is really fast. That's how we are able to do the 22 orders a day. So you're looking at all these unique parts being built up really quickly, and it's all custom machinery that's doing it. But that comes with its whole other set of problems. If you build custom machinery and the software behind it, there's nobody to go back and ask why it's not working.
Right. So who's doing all of this? I mean, you got custom app development, huge coding projects. You've got custom equipment manufacturing. Like, how many people do you need to do all that?
A lot. We have more on our R&D side of our company than we do actually in production.
Which is fascinating. I mean, but I think it speaks to a mindset, right? In the average manufacturer, that's going to be flip-flop way the other way around. There's a lot less people looking for ways to improve the process than there are people that are actually doing the process.
Yeah. Yeah. That R&D is so necessary to be an industry leader. And then since nobody else is doing this on a regular basis, it's really something we have to research and develop ourselves.
Right. And I mean, I think a lot of manufacturers are aware of this, but there's some pretty hefty financial incentives from the government for that R&D, which can a lot of times pay for some of those employees. I know manufacturers that get a couple million bucks a year from R&D tax credits. So that's good anyways. Mm-hmm. So beyond the time factor, because that's the biggest thing, what is the next thing that you look at in terms of how you can add value to customers?
There's really only two. So it's speed and quality. So that's the only two things we can do to add value to the customers. We have very little design input or zero design input on most of these boards. We do give design for manufacturability, some DFM feedback after we build it. If something is totally not going to work in a regular manufacturing environment, we like to let them know.
Right.
And but quality is our next big thing. We do a ton of inspection. We actually have inspection every step of the way. We document it so that we can see when and if something ever goes wrong. And then if there is feedback from a customer, we actually go back and we do the root cause analysis. We discuss it. We do fix anything that comes back to us that might have been a manufacturing defect. And we've actually worked with a couple customers to troubleshoot their boards, debug their actual design. But for the most part, we don't really have time for that. So
right.
We are really just putting parts where you told us to put parts, and we're putting the parts that you told us to put there.
Yep. So what kind of feedback are you getting from your customers?
A lot of the times it's just they're impressed that we're able to get something to them in 3 days. Nobody actually believes it the first time they order. And then when they start to get used to it, then we get the feedback like, hey, I thought I was getting this in 3 days and now it's 4.
Yeah.
Right.
What kind of feedback are you getting along the lines of like, knowing the value that you are providing them by having that turnaround, like you saved us, whatever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't really get that feedback. I think that's normal across most manufacturers. You get the negative feedback all the time, and then every once in a while you get this is amazing, I can't believe you did this.
Yep.
Or thank you so much for finding that flaw in my design.
Yep. Yeah, and honestly, that's important That's important information to feed into your quoting strategy. You know what I mean? Like if you understand that 3-day turnaround is actually saving them $1 million over the 6-week, well, maybe you can squeeze a little more revenue out of that project, right?
Yeah. That's another one of our overarching goals as a company, is to actually be able to provide electronics manufacturing at a commercial level to everybody. So we're trying to keep the cost low for everybody. Yeah. We just treat everybody like they're, Tesla or whatever.
Yep.
The largest companies in the world, but sometimes it's just an engineering student at UMass, but they get the same level of quality, same finished product comes out to them, same turnaround time.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean it's an admirable kind of goal, and I love it. It just seems like a lot of companies start out that way, right? They start out with these like ambitious humanitarian sort of like let's democratize everything philosophy, and then the real world hits them and they get into business and they're like, then they have a board of directors that are like, we should be getting more, get more revenue. And then all of a sudden things start to change a little bit by a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we're squeezing every last penny out of this. How do you avoid that pitfall?
We'll let you know when we cross it. Right now, we're still there, but I know most of the people who start off in this rapid manufacturing or any real electronics manufacturing either end up in medical or defense. That's where the money's at.
Right.
You get these really huge contracts that last for years, and you're just pumping out the same product. You get really good at making it super efficiently.
Yep.
But
yeah, and it's hard to say no to that. I mean, if you get that RFQ and it's like, oh, well, this is going to boost your revenue $10, $15 million next year if you take this job, like how do you say no to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be a problem. For now, we're still like first come first serve. So
yeah. No, it's awesome. I mean, I just love that idea of having these super ambitious goals that fall right in line with what the customer needs. So you really love this industry. Do you love the problem solving aspect of it? Do you love to see the finished product? Like what drives you in this?
Yeah, I think really it's the finished product. It's going from engineering and designing stuff and waiting months and months, years maybe to see a finished product. And now every day you come in and you're building somebody's dream, 20 times a day.
Yep.
It's incredible. You get that fulfillment every day.
So do you always know what this board is going into and what the intended purpose of it is?
No, usually we have no clue.
Interesting.
For first-time customers, we'll send a postcard. And once a year, we send like a card. We really love to know what we did, how we helped you or whatever. And every once in a while, somebody will come back to us and be like, all right, this is the board you did. Like we helped NASA a long time ago when they were doing the rover helicopter thing and going to Mars or whatever. And we built a couple of the boards in there, and they let us know after it was all done.
Okay. So there's like NDA attached to some of it?
Yeah. And other times, a lot of the times the customers name their board exactly what it does, and you see the logo on it.
Yep.
So you know exactly what it's going to or what it's going to do. But
yep.
We're also really secure about that. We don't let information out. We don't take pictures of customers' boards and post them publicly. It's up to the customer to do that afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I find that really interesting. And I was a little bit surprised by that. Because this is something I brought up in a previous podcast, I actually talked quite a bit about is one of the easiest ways to know what additional value you can offer to a customer is to understand what they're doing with the product that you're making. And I really started to observe this doing tours of various manufacturing facilities. I go into a precision machine shop and they're super proud of this, tight tolerance, complex part, internal, threads and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, we did this. And I'm like, well, what was it for? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, how do you not know? That would frustrate the crap out of me. Like, I want to know what this thing is going into. And not only for my own curiosity's sake, but if I know what it's going into and I know, is this product going to market? And if I can increase the speed on it, it's going to make a big difference to them. If I could offer some DFM advice on it, and I would only be able to do that if I know like what it's for.
Right.
So I feel like that's a really strong way to be able to add more value to customers is to know what your product is going into.
Yeah. I think a lot of the times for our customers, they don't want us to know because it's still a prototype and it's not ready to go to market. It's going to investor boards to get pitched.
Right. So you guys do some stuff too to kind of just help young people get interested in this space. Tell me a little bit about some of that.
Yeah. So we have partnered with a local college here, University of Massachusetts. And what we do is we have part-time positions for a lot of the engineering students. And during the summers, it's not just UMass. We get college students from all over the country come in.
Oh, wow.
And they work with our design team as interns, which that's usually, it's more teaching than learning. And you're like constantly going over stuff. But a lot of the times they end up working well together by a couple weeks in.
Yep.
And you get like a really cool product afterwards, or they have these great ideas that we wouldn't have thought of. Like, we're just trying to get the next revision of something done, and they'll come out with like some crazy, like, hey, let's use a laser or something crazy like that. And that's really fun. But yeah, the UMass partnership has been really cool. You see these freshmen and sophomore come in and they're learning electronics. They're learning electronics in school. They're learning design engineering. Then they get to see what other people are designing, kind of see what works and what doesn't, understand the pain when there's a bad design. So that's a big one.
Right.
I wish I learned that before I actually came into manufacturing. But I know, like, sometimes you get a bad design and it's just painful for hours trying to get something out the door. And they get to see that, they get to work on it. They understand now going forward, somebody's got to do this. No matter what I design, somebody's going to build it.
Yep.
So it's pretty good there. And then you see them, they come through. Some of them take internships outside of the company during the summer. Others work the whole summer here with us as full-time employees. And they really get to dive into a specific project, whether it's building a new machine for us and working side by side with our design engineering team, or working with our software development team to come up with a new app that we're going to use. And that's also very valuable because it's something that they can now bring back to school. Like, I actually did engineering during the summer.
Yep.
And then the other thing we do for them is we don't charge them to build their products. So if they come up with a design, we will put it in, let it run through our assembly line while they're here on a shift, and they get to build it.
Wow. I mean, there's some expense involved in that, which kind of goes right along with your sort of altruistic, desire to help the industry, which is super cool. How many of these interns will turn into employees of the company?
So far, 2.
Oh, okay. So it's a big investment for, it's just not recruitment driven, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It is a big investment. We look at it more as an R&D investment than a recruitment. I mean, UMass is in the middle of Western Massachusetts. It's kind of rural out here.
Mm-hmm.
And college kids graduate and dream of going to Boston or New York City,
Yep.
like a big city, be with a bunch of people their age. So you got to expect that too.
To happen, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm going to rewind a little bit, still on the subject of interns, but when you originally started your manufacturing facility, you basically took some green, didn't probably know a whole lot about anything, and turned them into a manufacturing company. Like, that's pretty unusual. How did you do that? I mean, number one, how did you pick them, or did they come to you? And then how did you kind of foster an environment where they actually absorb what they needed to absorb, and track their successes and coach their failures and things like that?
Yeah, we believe in this. Our core values, they're just those of a team player. Like I always explain to everybody who comes in, if you're going to work here, we're a team. It's not a family, it's a team. And it's more like a basketball team than anything else. Like there are going to be point guards that everybody in the world knows. They're going to hit all the points. But there's also a power forward that's going to come up and set that high screen for them so that they can take their three-pointers. And then they're also going to battle down low and get those rebounds. So we have like these 6 core values that are very important to our company: active contributor, honesty, drive, humility, the ability to personal growth, and active contributor. Did I already say that one? I don't really know. But it's just those people that are there. They are the team player. Yep. They want to learn. They want to grow. They want to drive is just showing up and working through very difficult things.
Yep.
And commitment, just showing up and doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it.
Yep.
So we always hire for core values and aptitude, not for their paper. We don't care if they have certificates and things. The way we look at it is we are designing the software to make manufacturing electronics, which is very difficult, kind of easy. And then we're looking for people that we can train. Maybe they have good manual dexterity. That's a big part of electronics manufacturing. But people who are willing to learn, train, put in hard work, and then we're able to make software that works for that type of person. So we are building electronics manufacturing people that have never seen electronics before.
Right. I'm always interested about, the core value side of things, because I've heard a lot of companies talk about it, and I think it's important to have those core values. What I'm never super clear about is, how do you know in the early stages of hiring somebody and interviewing somebody whether or not they fit with your core values?
So we do a different kind of interview and hiring process. It's been very interesting because we've been in a hiring push lately. But we do an initial screen online. That way they know half of our company is remote. So they're all over the world. We do a lot of video chatting, just like this.
Yep.
So we have to know they're comfortable with that. And then they come in and there's actually a working day interview. And they spend all day working at every location in the factory. And the way we do our hiring, our firing, and our reviews is all by a team. So the people come through, they work with everybody on the floor, and the people on the floor are deciding, yep, they fit our culture. They asked the right questions. They worked hard. They wanted to touch stuff. That's a big one. A lot of times people come in, they're like, I'm not touching that.
That makes perfect sense. Because really, how else could you evaluate those core values if you don't actually see them in action?
Yep. Yeah, it's really fun. We do basically one a day for the last 2 months. Today's one of the first days we don't have one. I think it's because it's the last of the month. So we're trying to just make sure everything ships on time, get those numbers pumped up a little bit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I mean, it makes a ton of sense. I think that's great information for, any manufacturer listening. Number one, if you don't have core values, or if they're just kind of like loosely, whatever talked about, chances are your employees don't know about them if they aren't set in stone and written on every wall. And then number two, once you have those, make sure that the people you're hiring also have those core values. And number three, you can only figure that out if you actually see them in action. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we actually have an internal messaging system also where you can leave feedback on core values and individuals of anybody in our company, all the way from our CEO to the person who just started today. And they can leave feedback on a core value infraction or something that was really good. And if it's really, really good, there's a way to leave a public one. It goes up on we have a Slack channel and, does the fireworks and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. What steps do you think the average manufacturer could take to, let's just say it is a time-based value add? What steps do you think the average manufacturer could take? Would it be the automated quoting? Because I know that that's a bottleneck in a lot of companies, and I know it's something probably most people don't even like to do. I hate doing quotes personally. Like, I'd rather just talk to somebody, find out your problems, and say, "Oh, here's the price. Let's get." But actually writing it up, like, so where would you say the biggest opportunity is?
I think the biggest opportunity is always making wider process windows, so that you're not changing your whole process for a new product.
Right.
So the wider you can make a process window, the more product you could fit through. That's always a big plus. And then I think anything that a machine can do should be doing. So automated quoting, there's no reason for a person to be quoting anymore. Like it's not too difficult once you know your process.
Right.
Understanding your process is the biggest part of any manufacturing problem, because if you don't know the process and see the waste, then you can never improve it.
Right.
But once you do know that and you're able to automate quoting or automate movement, I don't know why so many people are still having a person walking around with a cart pushing raw materials. Like, that shouldn't happen. Raw materials should be where you need them. A machine can deliver them. Like, don't waste somebody's talents somewhere else in your manufacturing facility pushing a cart with steel.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I guess let me play devil's advocate here. So, like, I'm a machine shop owner. I got, I'm running 5 different jobs on a given day, and I'm thinking, well, how do I know? Like, how would I automate that? Like, is it a robot delivering it? Like, walking down the aisleway? Is it a conveyor belt? Like, how do I do that? And how do I actually know that that's going to add enough value to justify the expense of automating that?
Yeah. So I would say start with the cheapest way possible, just a proof of concept. So if you have a way to automate it, maybe it is still a person with a cart, but maybe they're delivering a day's supply instead of an hour's supply or the next run supply. And it's those little things. And then once you get that proof of concept, you got to measure everything. And that's one thing that we have the benefit of doing here at CircuitHub, because we made all the equipment. So every single thing is measured.
Yep.
But if you're able to measure everything, then you can just compare it. And so the problem I often see is people have feelings of something is improving or is causing something to take longer.
Right.
But until you measure it and you're able to compare it to reality, then you don't know.
Yep.
And a lot of times the pain points that people see are actually improvements. So it's just a change. So people don't resist change. People resist being changed. I forget who said that.
People don't resist change. They risk being changed. Okay. Resist change. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that statement.
So, like, people won't resist something that makes their job easier, but they'll resist the fact that you're telling them they have to do something different to make their job easier. So a lot of times it's just proving, like, the proof of concept, showing numbers, and then saying, okay, now you are the expert here. what would you have done differently to improve this number even more?
Right.
I forget what they call that, but just empowering people
Yep.
to take ownership of their position.
Yep.
And then that way there, when you do implement change, it's kind of like cooperative. But yeah, I would say automating out all your waste is a huge thing. We're constantly looking for ways that we can automate something else.
Yep. Which
And
is a great
it's
mindset.
everything.
I mean, that's what most people need to be doing. And I think you hit on a great point too. Before you automate, you need to measure. You always have to, you have to be tracking every little thing, which I think a lot of manufacturers also struggle with. Yeah, it's fascinating. No, it sounds like you guys are really figuring it out, and you've got the right mindset. You have the right core values, and I'm going to be really excited to see how this company grows in the next couple of years. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of big stuff coming up, so it's going to be fun.
Awesome.
A lot of good announcements.
Well, hey, thanks a lot for coming on today, Will. I enjoyed the talk, and I think a lot of people listening will enjoy it as well. So I really appreciate the insights.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. It was great talking with you.
Absolutely.